Hello everybody and welcome back. Today is finally the day where we start talking about Opus 15 spoilers. As you guys may or may not know, but spoiler season is in full bloom again. We are waiting for Opus 15, the Crystal Dominion, comes out November 26th. We already got some bad news knowing that the pre-release is going to be delayed, but at least we'll get them, right? Hopefully they come out with the set and we're able to get our hands on them. I definitely want the promos and definitely need the sleeves, and you know, we're excited for all that stuff. There's already been a couple stuff come out. We missed a few card of the weeks, but that's okay. I bunched them up here with us. I might keep doing those or might not. I don't really get good responses from them, but if you guys want, I can keep doing them. Just leave me a comment if you like them or not. If not, that's fine too. But anyway, just to give you guys a heads up, we're going to cover all the spoilers that have, as far as I know, have been released up until today. And some of them were, you'll notice too, they're a little blurry, a little scanned. Obviously we're getting them from everywhere. Some of them are also actually translated. We only had the Japanese cards, but they were translated by the community, and so I am counting on them for that. So I normally don't like to add those, but there is just so many cards I wanted to talk about. So and then after we're done with the spoilers, we'll talk about everything we know about the set so far and a couple things we don't, right? So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, first we have Terra, a new Hecaton chair, and Samurai. Alright, when Terra enters the field, you reveal any number of summons from your hand. When you do so, choose up to the same number of characters as the summons you revealed. Dull them and freeze them. When you cast a summon, choose a forward and a backup, and up to one backup. Dull or freeze the former, and dull or freeze the latter. This is a legendary, by the way. So we already kind of talked about this if you guys joined us on stream, but if not, we can go over it again. So this is the one of the ice legendaries. The art is very nice. I believe it is going to come out full art. The effect, when it resolves, so it has good effects, right? And I say good loosely because the idea of being able to dull and freeze a number of characters is solid, right? And then same thing whenever you cast another summon, to choose two things or whatever, a forward and a backup, and to dull them and freeze them. It has good control aspects, right? But now the problem is that Ice is kind of always doing the same thing and it hasn't evolved. And I don't believe we're at the point in a game where this is relevant enough. Now, the other thing is too, unless there's only been up until now one successful summon deck, right? And we know that's Doga. Ice is not in those colors in Earth Water, unfortunately. So I don't know where that ice summon deck is going to come, right? There's no real good ice summons at the moment. That's just the facts, right? Again, if we're highlighting the best parts, you can reveal any kind of summons, right? So if there is a point where, we'll talk about another card later on that kind of has to do with summons as well. So maybe in that world you can use both of these. Again, Ice is having an identity crisis. It needs to focus on dulling or freezing or discarding, or implement something new, or evolve a little bit, right? Like the rest of the colors have. Ice has slowly gone from one of the better ones to one of the worst elements, with very good strong cards, and this doesn't help it. Next is Hecaton Chair. You can only cast Hecaton Chair during this turn. During your turn, deal 8,000 damage to all forwards. Now, another strong Earth summon is already really good. Might not be bad in Doga. I don't know how it reflects, right? Well, you have Sophie and stuff like that. If Doga's big enough, he can attack and cast this and then clear things, because one of the weaknesses I believe that deck has is getting aggroed out. So something like this might just be helpful in general. They usually live on one backup anyway. Maybe the other old Toto comes back. Shantoto, it's like a 6-drop legendary. Whenever it deals damage, it shoots damage out to every other forward and then removes you from play. So it's at 9k. Maybe this casts, you deal 16k to everything on the board other than itself, and removes you from play. So something's not bad. Did Earth really need another board wipe? Kind of. I know 8,000 is kind of weak, I guess, for what we're looking for now these days, but still, I don't think Earth needed another one. Give something to Ice, for goodness sake, or, Fire, maybe a little bit more. Not even, Fire's pretty strong already too, but, the other colors, Lightning or Water, could use a little help. But as we'll continue to build Earth Water and Fire Earth and Earth Wind. But yeah. And then Samurai backup. When Samurai enters the field, gain a crystal. Put Samurai into the break zone. Choose a forward. If it deals damage to a forward this turn, the damage is increased by 1,000. You can only use this ability during your turn. So we're gonna have a bunch of these. I hope that the set has one for each element at the very least. Generic 2-drop backups that generate crystals, which are different from CP, crystal points. And we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But you'll notice that a lot of the new cards that come out for that this set will be revolved around that mechanic. And then most of the other effects most of the other fire cards that have this effect, its second effect, I mean the one that increases damage, have been more expensive in the past, like throw your forward, or like fire and then tap this as well. So this isn't bad. It is slow, right, because you do have to wait the turn, but it's a 2-drop backup that does it, so it's the cheapest, I believe, that has this effect now. And obviously we always like 2-drop fire backups, and the fact that it's Samurai just means that Samurais might have some way to like incorporate crystals into the deck building as well as any other fire deck, right? Next, Lady Lilith, Snow, and Leko Havoka. So legendary for Lady Lilith, but we'll get into that. Remove a forward other than Lady Lilith from the game. Gain 1 crystal. You can only use this ability once per turn. For 1 crystal, choose a lightning forward. It gains haste until the end of the turn. You can only use this ability once per turn. And then for 2 crystals, choose a forward of cost 5 or less. Break it. She's a 2-drop forward. Job is the same as her name, which I found funny. She's cheap and costly at the same time, right? Because she's easy to get out, but she is going to need a lot of crystals to be like abusable, I guess, right? Like, or at least to help you maneuver through the round, right? Because you need to be able to at least have 2 on board to break something, and I guess she's good for reducing your opponent's value. Like, she can sack something other that's being targeted to give itself crystals, and then use 2 crystals to break something or give things haste, right? Whatever. Category 11, which I don't know where she comes from. I never played all 11 all the way through. I know a lot of people have, but at least it's searchable. It has a good search engine, 2-drop for Areneas and stuff like that. So might see play. I don't know. We have to see how abusable this crystal mechanic is so far. But yeah. Next is Snow, another Snow, guys. When Snow enters the field, you may pay 1 crystal. When you do so, select one of the 2 following actions. Freeze all forwards your opponent controls, or freeze all backups your opponent controls. Now, again, my first thing is that we don't need another Snow. I do like his effect, mainly because I think technically he's also the cheapest alternative for this effect. Before we had like Ultimecia, and then there's a 6-drop 11 character also that does it. But it's either one or the other, right? Sometimes it's not really both. Or you get to choose in this case, but he's just another Snow. He is dual job, so we'll be able to find Sentinels, I guess, or Lassie. We'll see. That rhymed. Unintentional. Now Leko Haboka. Again, one of the ones we saw from the live stream. At the end of your turn, if you cast 3 or 4 cards during this turn, you may put Leko into the break zone. If you do, search a character of 4 or less and play it onto the field. At the end of your turn, if you have cast 5 or more cards, you may put Leko into the break zone. If you do, search a character of cost 8 or less and play it onto the field. Busted card. Wind is going. See, this is what I'm talking about. Cards evolving. So Wind went from reactivating everything to playing stuff for free to the more you cast things per turn, right? So that's like a progression for the Wind element. And this is all of that, right? Like the more you've cast, you can break it and bring something out, and the more stuff you do, the per turn, the better this effect goes. Now, I don't know, like, Leko seems really strong to me already. Is it going to help break the game? Maybe, right? Because you want to leave, I know it's at the end of the turn, right? So that's kind of like its weakness, but, being able to bring something in with no response, like leaving your opponent unable to respond to all of the effects that are about to happen, seems pretty good to me, right? So something very important that you need to resolve on your turn will like happen here, And so that's what kind of you save it for, or something you need ready for your opponent's next turn, or something you need ready for your following turn and hope you have protection already. Like if you drop Y'shtola out at the end of your turn, then you bring something else out, let that whatever resolve its effects, and then your Y'shtola is there, and whatever your other effects are on the board to protect that said card, right? Or it just leaves your opponent in a real bad situation, right? Because 8 or less is really good if you're able to cast 5 things. So you're able to bring something out that's very powerful. And I'm sure we're going to get a bunch of new cards where this is going to be something we're searching for. Again, very abusable, I think. You'll be able to play multiples in a deck because once it leaves, you can play it again, right? So gets you combo pieces, any characters, obviously regardless of color. So multicolor decks are open here. And I believe it is 11 as well, so searchable. Already in wind, 11 wind colors. And stuff like that. So next is going to be, we have Furion, Kites, and Palom. Now these are the 2 fire legendaries. I wasn't expecting them to be revealed so early, but here we are. Again, this Furion was translated, so we hope it works out just the way it is. But it seems legit. So when Furion enters the field, you may pay 1 crystal. When you do so, draw 1 card. Furion gains 1000 power, haste, and first strike. This effect does not end at the end of the turn, which is very good. And then Furion gains 3000 power until the other turn. So he's very cheap. We already saw that Fire has its own 2-drop backup to generate crystals. I mean, this is like a turn 2 play, right? You play the Samurai, generate a crystal. Next turn you play Furion. He's at 8k first strike and haste. And then you just keep going from there. So he has double jobs. He's warrior and rebel. I love that his effect stays. That's probably why he's a legendary. I think that's a good progression for legendaries. We already noticed that the progression for legendaries now is going to be, as we saw from Barrett and Garland last set, they all have the built-in Minwu effect, right? That's what we like to call it, I think. But now something like this is a good progression for the power creep, I guess, right? So I think if legendaries start incorporating things like this, it should be fun. Unfortunately, we only have a warrior searcher, so outside of that, there's not... Oh, he has 3 drops, so a Magisa target, but nothing for rebels just yet. And the rebels have always been kind of meh. I don't think any of us played the last Furion. This is twice Furion gets original art, which I find interesting. But, you know, it is what it is. He is a legendary, and I guess they probably like original FF2 stuff, right? Well, there wasn't art for them to begin with so much, so I think that's probably why. Kites. Remove Kites from the game, choose a Sky Pirate you control, remove it from the game, and play it onto the field at the end of the turn. 1-drop Sky Pirate. I think this one's better than the other Kites that we have. I think the other one has to pay something. This is good safety for Vaughn and for the old Vaughn that we got. And just a good way to blink abilities, I guess. Also, at the end of the turn means that the effect that comes in also at the end of the turn is going to be like safe. So just something to think about. But I like the idea that Sky Pirates has a little more innate protection. So whenever you want things like the Vaughn to go off, you want to make sure to drop. And he's a 1-drop, so he's going to be playable very often. 3 of him is going to be an easy choice. Next is going to be a Palom. At the end of each of your turns, place 1 EXP counter on each apprentice mage you control. For each EXP counter placed on Palom, Palom gains 1000 power. Choose a forward, deal it 2000 damage. If there are 3 or more EXP counters placed on Palom, deal it 8000 damage instead. You can only use this ability once per turn. Okay, now, first of all, legendary, obviously. Apprentice Mage, so far we only have now this one and the old Palom Emporum. From the, incidentally, the old Palom Emporum deck that we used to play. That might be before some of yours time, but there was a meta where it was Firewater, EX Burst, Palom Emporum deck, I think it kind of was. And it was super control-y, right, because they could like lift each other whenever they were targeted and stuff, so you really couldn't do anything about it. It was really hard to get around. Anyway, so the thing is, it doesn't matter unless the Porum also has an effect with however many EXP counters it has. It's not going to matter how many you give everywhere else unless you can transfer them. Also, that's the other thing, right? It seems a little underwhelming at first, and I get it, but the tokens stay no matter how many times you use the effect, right? So he could effectively, if he lives 2 turns, he's at 6k, and then if he lives 3 turns or whatever, he'll be at 7, but he can start doing the 8k damage, right? It's just going to be, it really all just depends how you're able to accumulate these counters, but 8k doesn't seem, again, like it doesn't seem like enough sometimes, but it should be able to clear some stuff, or at least help out. Fire already has innate ability to do so, so this guy might be a turn 1 play too, like for fire control decks. Again, I really don't know if there's going to be an Apprentice Mage deck. I come from a place where the box art leads to, you know, what's good and strong in the set. This game has not been like that for the longest, so I'm still hopeful that now we have, you know, Noctis and Luna Freya on the cover that we'll get 15 stuff, but that's going to be that's wishful thinking, I think. Next is Gilgamesh, Bartz, and General Leo. Again, another translated card. Hopefully it works out this way. Gilgamesh, 7-drop forward. Put Gilgamesh into the break zone, search for a card named Gilgamesh of cost 5 or less, and play it onto the field. When Gilgamesh is put from the field into the break zone, choose one backup of cost 4 or more your opponent controls, break it. And at 3 damage, when Gilgamesh is put from the field in the break zone, choose a forward of cost 4 or more your opponent controls. So at 5 damage, he breaks a backup and a forward, and he can send himself, right? So he can do a lot on his exit, which is very strong. And as far as I'm concerned, he can just recur himself a little bit. So the Gilgamesh deck is growing a little bit. It's interesting that it's growing into Earth Lightning now, so that should be fun. Bartz, pre-release promo. Wanderer, Warrior of Light. EX Burst. When a job Warrior of Light other than Bartz enters the field, gain a crystal. If you have a crystal, Bartz gain 2,000 power. And when a job Warrior of Light you control is put from the field into the break zone, you may pay triple crystals, 3 crystals. When you do so, play it onto the field. This effect will trigger only once per turn. Okay, so first of all, 4-drop at 10k seems good. He's going to be able to hold his ground, as this, I believe, is going to be the engine for Warrior of Light's next set. It really just depends what other options we have for generating crystals. Now, it's also very nice to say that because of his effect and the Farish from the last set, generating crystals might be very easy. And next is going to be General Leo. Players cannot cast summons. The forward you control must block if possible. Now, I'm torn about this card, right? Because I feel like the ability to not cast summons is amazing, and forcing your opponent to do battle with like backups and, you know, other battle trickery. I think General Leo is going to be a strong card. He's 6 searchable. He's solid, you know, power or whatever. And it says the forwards you control must block, right? Which means all your other forwards must block before him. I don't know what's going to be like the best way to go about this yet. I haven't started putting all the pieces together in my head, but stuff with First Strike are going to be very useful. The ability to buff, you know, with your backups, cards like even monsters like Chichu, or even the Gallows that can't die during battle or can't die on your turn. I don't, you know, Arden, obviously, if they don't want to pay for that. I don't know. There's just so many possibilities, right? Having Minwoo out with him as well, right? You force other opponents to block into your big forwards, and then that's it. You're just going to keep eating up, soaking up all their damage. So just something to think about. I think he's going to be really good. He's going to be super strong. At the very least, he's going to be teched like most cards, like most fire cards, like the Chu spell. Or the whatever it's called, and you know, it might just be a great tech choice, like for fire or for anything that has fire in it. Next is gonna be Diabolos, Penelo, and Noctis. So Diabolos was another translated card. Summon, wind drop, wind 1-drop. Choose a forward. It becomes 3,000 power until the end of the turn. If you have cast 4 more cards this turn, all forwards' powers become 3,000 until the end of the turn instead. Now, what's interesting to me is the way it's worded. Again, this might be falsely translated. I don't think so, but again, it could be. And I don't know if it means all forwards or all your opponent's forwards, or like, you know, if it's all forwards, it might be weird, right? But you know, it's cheaper than the other Diabolos that brings them down to 4,000, I think. So even at the very least, its first ability is really good. Let's see, and then Penelo, 2-drop Dancer, Sky Pirate, 5,012 for 5 CP. This cost 5 CP. The cost is reduced by 1 for each Sky Pirate other than Penelo you control. So forwards or backups. Select one of the following 3 actions. You can only use this ability once per turn. Choose a job Sky Pirate forward other than Penelo. This forward gains cannot be chosen by your opponent's abilities until the end of the turn. Choose a forward. It loses 3,000 power until the turn, or draw a card. Obviously more Sky Pirate support. I believe most Sky Pirates are forwards, so it would have been nice to get another backup. I like its effects. It's a little weak on this, like for me, I think. I don't know how long it'll survive and how often you'll be able to do this, unless you have enough to do it for free right off the bat with your players. Also, it's Penelo, right? So we have to sacrifice playing this for our searchers, which is either Search of Sky Pirate or Search of On, I believe. And like they were wind searchers, I believe, like wind cards that search. So just changing your colors here might be too difficult for that deck. I don't know. You're gonna have to make sacrifices, and I think the further we get with sets, this problem is gonna become more and more relative, right? Like you're gonna have 8, 10 Penelos, tons of Vons or whatever, and you have to choose whichever one you think is best. Next is Noctis. Prince, forward, the lightning legend. The light legendary. Noctis can form a party with forwards of any element. Great. When a party you control attacks, select one of the following 5 actions. If 3 or more forwards form a party, select 2 of the following 5 actions. So it's choose a forward, deal it 8k, choose a monster, break it, choose a character, dull it, and freeze it. Noctis gains haste until the end of the turn. Draw a card. Very good, actually. So this is going to be the box topper. I think the promo gives it away. Also, we've kind of learned that already, and if you haven't, now you know. First of all, first thing that comes to mind is the Shikaris, the Avalanche, and the Turks. Like these have been maybe even Chocobos, right? Or at least like the old Bart's Boko version. I don't know how playable that one is now. But realistically, this party mechanic has been getting better and better for the last few sets, and Noctis is a great addition to that whole thing. The Shikaris benefited a lot from having haste and giving each other abilities and stuff when they attack. I mean, getting bigger when they attack, but also doing, like, if all 3 of them are able to attack. But if you're having them party already, then you're drawing more cards from Noctis. Noctis can join in, and then you can dull freeze and get rid of like obstacles in your way. Like you can dull freeze 1 or deal something 8k, and then have your Shikari do the 4 points of damage, right? The 3 when they attack, and then 1 for actually hitting. So there's a lot of potential here. Same thing with the Avalanche operatives. They're already getting haste on their own. Being able to join in with that is going to be very good. Not only will they be able to do their effects like play clouds or what is the other one? Or become unkillable or cannot be broken this turn, and break characters. Now they can deal AK and dull and free stuff, break monsters, and just draw more cards. Really, like the value there is going to be really strong. Turks not so much, but it gives them another avenue as well. I did test them with Stern, but I didn't like it so much. So something cheaper like Noctis will help them push forward, just to get to their, all the Turks on board play. I do see this card being very strong, very playable already. So there's that. Next is Mayakov, Regis, and Mind Flayer. The job Dancer and card named Dancer you control cannot be chosen by your opponent's abilities. When Mayakov enters the field, you may play 1 job Dancer or card name Dancer of cost 3 or less from your hand onto the field. Pretty interesting support altogether, right? I didn't expect us to get Dancer support or Dancer abilities anytime soon, but you know, monks already did their thing. Summoners are getting always get a little support here and there, and ninjas had their time. So Dancer's obviously very, very, very interesting. I like that they can't be targeted already. Like, he gives protection to all of them, and then so that includes forwards and backups. So your backup dancers or whatever can't be broken, your forwards can't be killed, and when he enters you can play one for free. Also can be a forward or backup. So alone he's going to be playable. I don't know how much more dancer support we need right now. We have the dancer stuff's not that great, right? We have the 3 drops that they're mostly all 3 drops in wind, and I think a few other weird colors. Water. I know we played the water one a long time ago for like tech choices, and then the wind 3, the newest wind 3 drop dancers played in mono wind sometimes too, like for board players and big damages. If you can have 2 of them on board, right? So I don't know. It seems interesting. Sure, I like it. We'll respect it. It could be playable, depending however many more we get in this set and in the next few sets. Regis. So more 15 support, which is great. We're really hoping this set pushes category 15. The cost required to cast your job Kingslave is reduced by 1. When Regis is chosen by your opponent's summons or abilities, you may put a Kingslave you control into the break zone. If you do so, cancel that summon or ability. And at 3 damage, Regis gains 1000 power. So this is so his problem is his name, unfortunately. I like the fact that he can reduce all the other stuff, because our Kingsglaives are scattered between forwards and backups. So the Kingsglaive deck might be playable with this. But also you don't have the Searcher, which is Regis, and you don't have the multicolor Regis, which is a big power play, like a big game I don't know what's the word, like turning games in your favor. Like it's just a really good card. So comparatively you have to choose that, like those big plays or overall CP value. It's going to be tough, but he's not a bad card. So next is the Mind Flayer. Now this card is also one of the translated one, but if it is exactly as this reads, this card is ridiculously absurd. Will be played in 3 ofs in any water deck. Doga is going to abuse the heck out of this card. Legacy Minwu will go up. So 4-drop water summon hero. Look at the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. Remove one of them from the game and return the other to the bottom of your opponent's deck. This turn, you may cast the card removed from the game without paying the cost. I mean, it's 4. Now, again, my problem here is the translation. This turn, you may cast that card removed from the game without paying the cost. Now, does that turn an 8 CP card into a 0 CP card? Or does that mean... Or was it translated that, like... is it like Lani, right? Where you don't need the color? I'm sure there's going to be a correction here. If it's read word for word like this, right? If not, this card is busted. Nothing is safe. It might be the best card in the set already. I don't know. I think it's the best summon water has gotten in a long time as well. I'm glad it doesn't have EX Burst. I never thought I'd say that, but it would be too busted. It wouldn't make sense either, right? If you hit it on their turn, you can't really cast stuff on your opponent's turn unless it's a summon, or anything with back attack. But still, very, very good. Again, this might just keep Doga in a whole new competitive field. It's on color, castable both by Minwu and Doga. Mashiri makes it 3 in water decks. This is a 3-drop with Yuna. I don't know. It really opens up. I don't want to say it takes care of like the anti matchups, right? Like, or your bad matchups, but it definitely helps, right? Stealing cards is always great. This makes it super easy. It's recurable. yeah, it's just too many things, too many good reasons to play this card. Next is Edge, Geomancer, and Nyx. Another Edge ninja. During each turn, if Edge is dealt damage by your opponent's summons or abilities, for the first time that turn, that damage becomes 0. For 0 CP, choose a summon or ability that is choosing only one wind forward you control. That summon or ability is now choosing Edge instead, if possible. So, I love this effect. My problem is that it's weaker than Elua's. Because it says that damage has become 0, meaning the damage is being reduced to 0, meaning it's only really protecting you from, ping effects, right? It doesn't negate the entire effect like Elua, which is, obviously its own card and is still one of a kind until this day. 15 sets in, but this is a close second now, right? The only other effects that do stuff like this have been Cecil's, so it's nice to see this in another color, but again, it's only protects you from ping effects. So, and unfortunately it is limited to win forwards, right? Because you have to target a win forward to target himself, to choose Edge as the target. So I like cards that redirect. I'm a big fan of that now. I talked about it last set in my videos. Amo is a 2-drop water backup that redirects an action ability, single target action ability, which I found to be very useful, and might continue to be very useful actually. So keep that in mind. Next is Geomancer. You're another generic generate a crystal for Earth though. Again, so we have 2 out of 6 colors that can do this. Hopefully more will come. Again, hopefully all sets get one and not just 3 this set and then 3 next set. But since I don't know if this mechanic will translate further than this set, this will be the one, obviously, that has them all. Put Geomancer to the break zone, choose a forward, against Brave until the end of the turn. You can only use this ability during your turn. There are other cards that do this, but I feel like Brave isn't enough anymore. It is cheaper, so it's okay. But we can move on. Nyx, Kingsglaive, Lightning Legendary. So this is the second Lightning Legendary, meaning both have been revealed. I don't know if... I doubt we're getting multicolors this set, right? I think we talked... I don't know if we talked about that, but I believe multicolor is a thing of the past now. We will not be getting multicolors for a while, or in this set. Don't hold me to that, but I remember reading, or someone told me somewhere, that multicolors are a thing of the past going forward. As you can see, none of the cards that we've talked about are multicolored yet. Anyway, remove 1 job Kingsglaive in your break zone from the game. Until the end of the turn, Nyx gains 1000 power first strike, and Nyx can be chosen by your opponent's abilities. Remove 5 job Kingsglaives from your break zone from the game. Search a category 15 forward of cost 5 or less, and play it onto the field. So, going back to what we were talking about, now we have the new Regis, and he makes him cheaper. So Regis into him is 2 job, but now unless we're getting more category 15 forwards, I don't know if I want to waste like my ability to remove all my Kingsglaive to bring in, I don't know, Prompto, or like if there's a new Prompto or Ignis or something like that. I don't know. I like the effects. I like his effects. All of his effects are good, right? Remove a Kingsglaive once. You can do this obviously as many times as you like, and it kind of protects himself, and it makes him stronger this turn, right? He's not gonna lose to Amaterasu when he comes in or anything like that, so that he's already safe in that regard. But we need more 15 forwards. This is the 15th set. We already have Noctis Regis, and I think that's all we have so far. But give me new names. Give me. I need all new Kingsglaives probably, and then I don't know. Just give me what's his name? Let me see if I can remember his name. An Aranea would be good, right? Like being able to play the Aranea is the only thing I can think of. Also, other from Arden and Regis. He's cheap enough where you don't need the other Regis, but yeah, that's it. My thoughts. Give me your opinions. I'd love to hear it. And I think this is my last slide, unfortunately. Yeah, Rydia, Vaughn, and Locke. So the Nyx was the card of the week, the first card of the week we missed, I think, and then Rydia is the second, and Vaughn is also the third. So these are legendaries. You have your Earth Legendary and Wind Legendary, and then Ice. The Locke is a weird ice card. I don't even know why I left that one until the end. This was in no particular order, by the way. If Rydia is dealt damage by your opponent's summons or abilities, that damage becomes 0. We talked about this ability. When Rydia or a Category 4 character enters the field, place 2 growth counters on Rydia. For 0 CP, you can cast a summon of cost equal or less value, or equal or less than the number of growth counters placed on Rydia from your hand without paying the cost. You can only use this ability once per turn. Category 4 needs more support. Rydia is a victim of her name as well, but this is probably the new best one. I tried really hard to make the last one work. Well, I don't know if it was the last one, but the one where she reveals summons and then casts them for free as well. They might both actually be good now. But this Rydia is going to be nice. We talked about the evolution of Legendaries and how now they're having that innate protection as a base ability. So she's on curve there. 2 for 5 is fine. She comes in with two counters already, pretty much, right? She is weak to Amaterasu in that regard, but I mean, I'm paying 2 for a lot of potential here. So I can start casting choose for free, getting my cards back. The next turn I bring another 4-drop, I can cast Mind Flayer for free, which is already crazy. Rydia might make her way into a lot of decks as well. Just this, I'm not saying she's going to be the best card, but she is really strong right out of the box. I read her the first time and I wasn't really interested, and then the more I read her now, I like it a lot. It's very easy to get those counters. The counters don't go away. It is only once per turn, but it can be on either turn. So you have free protection for both rounds, for both players' turns, and it's very nice. Vaughn. Oh, and lastly, obviously you can cast summons of any colors. So multicolor stuff makes a lot of sense. Rydia is Category 4, and Category 4 is also across all colors. So being able to maybe not necessarily splash her into any other deck, but the possibility of multicolored deck with multicolored summons is there, or you can take any avenue with 4. Vaughn, the job Sky Pirate forwards other than Vaughn you control. Forwards other than Vaughn you control gain this forward cannot be blocked by your forwards of cost 3 or more. When Vaughn enters the field, you may pay a wind. When you do so, activate all job Sky Pirates you control. And when Vaughn enters, you may pay you may pay water. When you do so, choose a forward until the end of the turn. It loses 2,000 power for each Sky Pirate you control. So this is a multi-element effect, but it's not a multi-element card. So we did just talk about that, but I also want to talk about another Vaughn Legendary. Is very unnecessary. He's weak to Amaterasu as much as the other one. He's not dual color. If I have to be optimistic about this one, he is good, but I don't think it's gonna replace the other one, the latest one. Mainly because this is, in my opinion, for like an aggro style play, or like a kind of like a make a turn where you're like recovering kind of play. The other one is just its own engine, right? So we'd rather play that one to protect that one and do stuff with that one, right? Because I believe that one was when it's targeted, you can activate stuff, and then when it comes in, play one for free, search and play for free, and then activate your backups more. So I think the other one as an engine is better. They're both the exact, the other one's 2 6-drop, I believe, right? But this one is the same, they're the same power, so I don't know. I don't think we needed another Vaughn. I wouldn't mind more Sky Pirates, but give me a break there, guys. And then Lock. 5-drop EX Burst Ice, forward 9k power, Treasure Hunter. I don't know how this one works, but again, it was translated, so bear with me, guys. If you control 2 or more Category 6 characters, the cost to cast Lock is reduced by 1. When you EX Burst, when you cast a Category 6 card, reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a Category 6 character, add it to your hand. If it is not a Category 6 character, put it in the break zone. So this is like a mixture of previous locks, right? Because there was, I want to say, an ice one that said if you control less, he's reduced. And then the light one says at the start of your turn, reveal the top 2, and if it's a 6 character, add it to your hand. Now, I don't like that they go to the break zone. 6 is obviously the strongest, like one of the best, like used to be one of the best, and it could probably come back now with General Leo maybe. But it's not that great of a card, unless in the future. Now this is like the long con, right? You need a card that needs to put lots of cards in your break zone. You leave you leave lockout, and then you just cast 6 cards, and hopefully you don't. You mill stuff and you keep throwing stuff into the break zone. It's a weird engine, but I've seen worse. I've seen crazier things in card games. So that's gonna do it for us today, guys. Actually, no, it's not. I forgot. So before we wrap up, the last thing we're going to talk about is going to be what we know about the set, right? So November 26th, there is no actual, there's no delay for the set this time. I think the November 26th date is the delay, so we're okay there. We already talked about introducing the new crystals mechanic, and we also kind of already talked about that there shouldn't be any more dual colors. I don't know if that's going to be a permanent thing. I don't know if they're going to be scattered this set or within the next set. I don't even know if they'll continue to do it. I heard it. Someone told me about this a while ago, so we can probably say goodbye to those for a minute. We don't know. I think this is Machina or King, one of the typo characters. We don't have this one yet, but we do have these. Terra, Katesith, I'm not sure what this is going to be. It looks like I want to say a Lightning Kingsglaive category 15 card, and then we have another Ultros. These cards are the ones we're missing. The count is going to be 30 cards, 130 cards. 10 of those, I believe, are from the starter foils, so it's really 120 card set. And as usual, all new custom arts that we have. The last thing is the pre-release. We already got, it talks about here more about the bad news that the pre-release kits won't be coming the week before like they normally do, but along the same day as the set. And we have the Bart's promo, the Crystal Dominion Furion Legendary sleeves, and 9 packs. But yeah, so that's going to wrap up this video now, guys. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Please share your thoughts in the comments below about any of the cards we talked about. I know as you're watching this, probably hoping for new stuff, there is more stuff being spoiled, but we will talk about all of those next time. So happy spoiler season, guys.